Hello everyone. So in this video I will show you how to create a custom cover group that can be reused again and again. So what I will do, I will create a cover group and it will have some formal arguments, and you can just while making a handle for that particular cover group, you can just pass some arguments using the constructor, and using that arguments it will focus towards particular signals, and that particular cover group will be focusing on creating multiple beans which will focus different range of value for that particular signal. So for this design I have already made lots of videos, and this design have uh, cover point, which is covering all the beans which are very diverse. So some of these are transition beans, and some of these are repetitive beans, and go to repetition beans, and non-consecutive beans, and also ignore beans, and illegal beans, and wildcard beans. So this test bench is for a very simple design of buffer, and both the output and input are of 7 bits each. So I will go with my custom cover group. So first I will just use the keyword cover group, and let's name this particular cover group as reusable underscore cover. So the only difference between these and the regular cover group will be that instead of mentioning the signal inside a cover point, I will just make it in such a way that the signal and some ranges for the beans will be passed by value using the formal arguments. So I will name some formal arguments. So my first formal argument will be the signal, whether it is A or it is Y, which are the input and output of the buffer respectively. So for this, I will pass it by reference. So I want the pointer to be passed to this cover group, so that any changes which are made inside this cover group can be seen outside the cover group. So uh, the signals are of 7 bits each, and I will name this formal argument as signal. Now I will also pass another formal argument, and that should be the instance name. So the instance name should be in string. So I will write string, and I will name this formal argument as ID. So since I don't want this particular, we will just mention the string when we will be declaring the handle of that cover group. So it cannot be passed by the reference. So what I will do, because by default, if you do not mention any input signal or anything, this ref keyword will be applied to every other argument inside this list. So what I will do, I will just write here input. So by default, all the arguments are input, but I am writing input here just to differentiate this from this. So this is not getting passed by reference. So after that, I will just mention the type, and I will mention the range. So my first range should be low, and I will also write a default value for all the ranges. So in case if you do not pass any values uh, while mentioning the handle, while assigning the object, so this default values will be used. So for the low range, I will be writing 32, and for the mid or medium range, I will be using 63, and for the high range, I will be using the maximum value of this of these signals. So these signals are of 7 bits, so the maximum value will be 127. So first, I will just go ahead and mention uh, the I will use the option that will assign the string which is passed through the constructor. So I will just use the option method, which is option.name. So option.name, it specifies a name for the cover group instance. And if you do not specify it, then the tool will generate a unique name for each instance by itself. So since we haven't mentioned any uh, instance name right here, so tool will generate a, a automated name for this particular cover groups instance. So let's focus on the beans and cover point. So I will label the cover point as RE, and then I will write cover point, and then that cover point should be focusing on the signal. And since we are passing the signal by argument, we just have to mention the name of that argument right here. Now I will begin with the beans. So the first bean, I will name it R1, and I will mention the range of that bean. So that range should be from 0 to whatever is mentioned right here, low. You could pass the value by argument, or if you do not pass it, the default value of 32 will be applied. And for the median range, I will mention another bean, and I will name it R2. And this time it should be between low and medium. So I will write the first range to be low plus 1, because the ranges in system Verilog are exclusive. So this will be from 0 to low, and this will be from the next element to that of low till medium, which is mid right here. Now for the high range, I will mention the final bean, and I will name it R3. And this will be focusing after the mid to high range. So I will just write mid plus 1, and it will focus till high. So that concludes our reusable cover group. So using the constructor and while mentioning the object, you can just assign some values to each of the formal arguments. And as per those formal arguments, the 3 different beans will be created, and those beans will focus on their respective ranges. So I will just go ahead and create an object for this cover group. So the name of that cover group is reusable cover. And I will name it anything. I will name it CA1. So now using the constructor, I will pass some arguments. So our first argument is signal. And since there are there isn't any default value for this particular formal argument, you have to mention something inside the constructor or it will show an error. So for this, since we have already covered the signal A in our previous cover group, for this I will focus on Y, which is the output. So my first argument will be the signal. So everything inside this cover group, which is written as signal, will be replaced with the Y. So the cover point will focus on the signal Y, and this will be the ranges for the signal Y. And since Y is of 7 bits, there are 128 possible values. So each three of I mean, the range will be divided into 3 different beans. So my second argument should be the instance name. And since there isn't any default value for that particular argument, I need to mention something. So let's name it RE, which stands for reusable underscore cover. And uh, my third, fourth, and fifth arguments are optional because there are some default value assigned to those arguments. So even if you don't pass any values, this particular default values will be assigned. So on the basis of this particular assigned values, the beans will divide 3 ranges. So I will just leave it as it is and it will use the default values mentioned inside the cover group. So I will just save the code and I will check if I have made any compilation errors. Okay, it's fine. I will mention the one last thing, and that is the sampling event. So I mean, it is necessary so that cover group can be sampled. So what I will do, I will just pass the argument, and the argument is signal. So on the basis of the signal you are providing to that particular reusable cover group, it will sample. So I will just write signal. And since right here we are providing Y as the argument, so the cover group will sample if any changes are made uh, in Y. So I will save the code and just a moment. Right. Now I will go ahead and just simulate the code. All right, I will run the coverage report. So as you can observe right here that our coverage is 100%, and so right here inside the initial begin I have provided all the possible values for A, and for that reason we are covering all the possible values, and you can see it right here that the coverage group instance RE cover, and we provided RE cover as a string while creating the object for that particular cover group, and it is getting fully covered. And this is the cover point RE, which is inside right here. We have labeled this particular cover group to be RE, and there are 3 beans. which are R1, R2, and R3. And R1 is covering all the values from 0 to low or 0 to 32. And R2 is covering all the values uh, from 33 to 63. And R3 is covering all the values from 64, which is 63 plus 1, bit plus 1, to high, and high is 127. So in that way, we are covering all the possible values. And since a single beans is checking for range, so we are getting multiple hits, as you can see it right here. So using this way, you can create a cover group, reusable cover group that can be reused for different signals, and you can just change the Y right here to A, and then it will do the same thing for A signal. And also, if you want, you can just add extra arguments, and those arguments will work as a range for this particular beans. So these are very useful if you want to create a cover group that can be reused again and again for different signals, and using multiple instances. You can give them a separate instance name, a unique instance name, and also you can give them separate ranges and etc etc etc. And you can create other different kinds of reusable cover group for different operations. So that's all for reusable cover group. I hope you find this video useful and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much.